My journey, or so to speak, travels with the Kenton Band when I was 16 years old. In high school, I started playing around town a bit in saxophone sections with people like Wingy Malone, Joe Ventura, the violinist who was also a practical joker. I substituted a couple of times with Alvino Ray, and somewhere along the line somebody recommended me to Stan Kenton.
These are the kings of big band, I want to tell you. What we'd like to talk about here, and this is in a short form, we can go in any direction. What reason do we have for having a big band? What's the reason we have that? Why do we have them? How do we keep them going? And what role they play in our musical expression?
I think that's an extension of the question, why do you play music? Because you have to. You have no choice. I think anybody in this room that's involved in music, you know you have to do music. There's just no question. And big band, for all of us that are involved, it's the sound, it's the texture, it's the love of that whole monster, that whole beautiful machine that goes through your soul, that makes you feel the way you feel when you hear it, when you play it. The first gig that the Clayton Hamilton Jazz Orchestra did was down at the Hyatt on Sunset. Some of you may remember that. And I just walked into the place and said to Ozzy Cadena, I think a big band would sound great here. That was the first gig we did. And there were more people on the bandstand than in the audience. And of course the guys didn't get paid much then. But if you love the music, and if you're attached to the music, all of those things change. You just transition from that. I mean, everybody on this panel remembers gigs that paid little or nothing, or we had to dig into our pockets and, pay the whatever. It's just part of the deal, but it's the love of the music, I think, that makes us do it.
So forth until came back to town and found that I was still writing for big bands, although they were all over the country. So I was sending charts off to these different bands, and I wouldn't hear the music until a couple of years later, and it was usually wrong. Band leaders always play the charts too fast. You can remember that.
You would be crazy to be, I don't know about you guys, I never make my money back on these records, never once. If you suggested a business model where you're going to spend $50,000 if you're lucky and never make that, who would do that again and again and again and again, right? So what that leads me to understand is there are reasons to do things other than for money, which is kind of a controversial thing to say in this town to some people, right? But to be on a panel sitting with these guys, this is like a moment where I go, oh yeah, all that sacrifice, I get to do this. I get to stand up in front of these incredible musicians and hear them play my music, and for that, I'm not used to it, and I don't want to get used to it. I think it's a great gift and an honor.
My first day on the Count Basie band, we're in New York, 48th Street, President Hotel. That's where we all congregated to get on the bus. So I go to the back of the bus, I got my bass with me, I put it in the seat behind me, and I'm sitting there, and I'm really, I can't believe it. My first day at Count Basie's band, and on the bus, I'm the first one on the bus walks Freddie Green, and he sits across from me. So I said, hello, Mr. Green, how are you? Nice to meet you. He said, yeah. And he already talked, he was so quiet. So he sat in his seat, and he crossed one leg over the other, and he just kind of had his chin on his hand, his elbow here, looking out the window. And then Count Basie came on the bus. He came to the back of the bus, and I said, hello, Mr. Basie, it's nice to meet you. He said, good, welcome. Called all the new guys in the band new boys, or you call me new boy. He and Freddie Green were talking. Freddie's looking out the window, and Count Basie's kind of looking up at the ceiling of the bus, and they're talking to each other. I'm watching all this, and Count Basie said to Freddie, "Hey, do you remember so-and-so used to play saxophone?" And Freddie looked out the window and said, "Yeah, I remember him. I saw him not too long ago. He's still playing." "Oh yeah, how do you sound?" Count Basie said. And Freddie said, "Yeah, he's playing a lot of notes." And Count Basie said, "Yep, dog shit fast, don't shit long." That was my first Count Basie lesson.